Caleb is one of those experts that I've been really impressed with. I've got to know him over the last, probably 6 months or so. Caleb and his company that's called Unmutable does all the marketing efforts for John Acuff, and has done some really awesome stuff for John Acuff when it comes to branding and rolling out brand, but also especially around challenges. Pedro Adeo, who is another client of ours, obviously came in and kind of introduced, John Acuff to this whole concept of challenges and basically said, "Hey, Caleb, here you go. I hope this works out okay." And Caleb was like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, we can make that work." And kind of found the traction fast and really brought some radical success to John Acuff, and then just multiplied that monumentally this last challenge we did with John Acuff. So obviously Caleb and I have some crossover in operations and marketing, but Caleb's here today just to talk to us about the brilliance of big picture marketing and some of the things that they do, not only for John Acuff, but for a lot of other clients. What we do with Collab Team, Caleb and his team does from the market angle for a lot of different clients. And so Caleb has become a good friend, and I'm excited for the value he's going to bring us this morning. So Caleb, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. That's a big expectation to have to live up to, Aaron. I'm excited to be here and add some value to you guys, so much so that I actually even I have a slide deck. Like, that's a big deal for me because I hate slides, or I hate making them. So I made this one slide deck so that way my VAs can handle that in the future.
Sweet. How many slides you got on it?
As Aaron said, I'm CEO of Unmutable. We're celebrating our 10 years of business this year. And I feel like in many ways, it took me 10 years to figure out to stop being an idiot and start stepping into my calling of helping people out with their strategy. The truth is, I had a guy this last week, he's a brilliant psychologist, and I'm pitching him on a sales call at one point. And he looks at me and I'm talking about our services. And he's like, I'm pretty sure that Carl Jung said that your capacity as a leader, you're not going to be able to take other people higher than that. And I was like, how much do I owe you? Right. That's the truth. We, as leaders, as people in business, if we're not elevating ourselves to a higher standard and a higher game and growing what we do, then honestly, many times we're actually handicapping the idea of us being able to grow to another place. So over the last few months, I've been investing back in myself and our business, hanging out with some really awesome rock star people like Ryan Dice and the digitalmarketer.com community. Our company's become a certified partner. So some of the tools that you guys are going to hear today are from their genius, right? And I'm really excited about leaning into that. But then at the same time, I've got a couple things. So I want to go ahead and start the slide deck and get going. Let's see. Whoever the host is, you're going to have to go to those security settings. And
That's me. I just like being in power. That's how it goes. Sorry, Caleb, I'm going to eat my breakfast while I'm watching. So just so you know, don't call on me a whole lot, at least at the beginning.
Hey, I get it, man. Listen, if you guys like fire hose information, you're about to get 4 hours worth of content in the next 50 minutes. And by the way, I have a plan, and I'm going to share what that plan is as soon as I get the slide deck running. Okay, cool. I'm going to hit, by the way, did you know, this is really fun. You can actually play your keynote in a window. And when you hit play slideshow, you can open that window inside of your app like this. Watch this. Boom. You see it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have some presenter notes. Let me see where my presenter notes. Well, sometimes it sounds like you know what you're doing, and then you get on here and it's like, oh, wait, maybe I didn't.
Oh, it's good. It sounded so sexy.
Wait, hold on. Let me try it one more time. Play slideshow, show presenter display in window. Oh, there we go. I don't know what happened there. Cool. Now I can share it. All right. So that way I can keep focused. So I put the slide deck for you guys just specifically. So by the way, I have ADHD, so any sounds will completely distract me on this call. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there as a warning. It's okay. I'm here for it. All right, here we go. So the real reason why your paid media isn't working, hopefully that got your attention. Really excited to kind of talk through this. Let's be honest, organic media right now, in many ways, especially if you're driving traffic on Instagram, is dead. There's like nothing out there. It's the wild, wild west. And so it's really important for your paid media strategies to be working. So here we go. Let's jump right into it. Today's June 30th. You guys know that. So the problem is really why your business is likely not growing as fast as it should be, but specifically with paid traffic, right? Because paid traffic is an awareness channel on the front end of a marketing engine. And if you're not getting that new leads and that fresh blood going in your ecosystem, then you're probably not going to grow the way that you want to. That also predicts unpredictability, algorithms. You might sometimes feel a little pushy with your ads to get people going. You might feel like you're burning cash. Nobody wants to do that, especially when you have to report back to your direct report and let them know how much money you spent and your ROAS was terrible. So where do we want to go, right? Let's talk about that. We want to have predictable growth. That's what we want to have. We want to have trusted, like this really awesome stock footage doctor here. I trust him with my life. Had my gallbladder removed a few years ago. That guy would take it out, definitely. And we want to be profitable. Who doesn't want a pig with sunglasses, right? So, okay, here's the agenda. Get to know one another. This is meant to be interactive. So I'm going to literally give you the most value in the fastest I possibly can so we can get to your tactical questions. Because here's the truth. The tactical questions that you may have today are going to be so across the spectrum when it comes to digital marketing. Some of you might serve similar people, but in different ways. And so I want to be able to answer your questions. And at the very end, I've got something fun too. So I want to share a few thoughts. I've got two thoughts, right? And then I'm going to get to the questions. And then like I said, tactical questions. Ask me all the tacticals. And at the very end, I'm going to give you an aha moment. Okay. So that's after the question. So I'm going to save probably like 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes at the very end of this. I respect everybody's time. So at the top of the hour, we'll make it a hard stop for everybody. That's what Aaron likes to say. So we'll make it a hard stop at the top of the hour. And this aha moment is a brain melter. And I hope you're ready for it. Okay. It melted my hard drive. I know it will probably do you. So let's talk about you a little bit. I want to ask you guys a question specifically by show of hands. And I've got my like little thing over here so I can see people. How many of you are running paid traffic right now? Raise your hand. Oh, some of you are like, okay. All right. So about 50-50. For the people who are, who's looking to grow their online business? Anybody? Show of hands. Come on, Nicole. You don't want to grow? I'm telling you, I'm calling you people out.
No, I love it. Nicole's great. Nicole, I've never seen your art before. That is amazing. I just want you to know your art on that arm is amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and both arms, all arms. I love it.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, I'm very interactive. There's no free passes on this. I throw fire as fast as I can, and you're either going to get burned or get refined. That's what's going to happen. So we're going to have some fun. Okay. All right. So need for speed and ADHD. All right. So one last thing. How many of you have, on a scale of 1 to 10, and you can do fingers for me, how many of you have ideas, and how many ideas do you have to help grow your marketing on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being the least amount of ideas. You have all these ideas and things you want to do. 10 being like, dude, I could just ideas all day. Okay. 4, 5. Come on, Savannah. Let me see your hands. Let's go.
Aaron's got never-ending ideas.
Aaron lives.
All right. Now let me ask you a different question. How many of your founder types that you have to answer to, or the leaders and the CEOs,
this is the question,
have ideas?
This is the question, right?
All right, let me see the hands.
Yes.
Okay, somebody's about to put their feet in the frame too, right? So do you guys feel that rub about how it feels like there's no way that you can keep up with all the tactics and no way that you can keep up with all the ideas? Y'all feel that? Yeah. Okay. we're in the right place. Well, the good news is you're about to get some value. So let's go. All right, here's the first thing I want to tell you about. It's right here, and it's in your face, right on the front, and you're going to roll your eyes at me. Start with your audience. Start with your audience. Now, I don't mean like back in the days where when you create an avatar, you'd be like, oh, well, you focus just on the psychographic. They make $100,000 a year. They drive BMW. They do blah, 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 right? That's what we all get into. What really is magical about when you know your audience is what is the transformation they're looking for. Okay, that's not in my notes, but I'm telling you right now. Oh, I forgot to do the slide, Aaron. I've got 2 promises. One is I promise you that I will give you more value in this session in the next 45 minutes that we have than anybody that you could potentially talk to today. Okay, that's one promise. Second promise I'm going to give you in this time is that, I'm going to request from you that you don't try to multitask, because I'm telling you right now, I can run way faster than you can multitask. I will be dropping a bomb every single time I'm selling you something on telling you, I'm not selling you, I'm telling you, I'm literally giving you $1 million tips every single piece along the way. So what I just told you right there about knowing your audience was really, really important. And so many people miss this. And I'm going to explain why. So a lot of times people focus so much just on the demographic and psychographic information. They focus on the information. Oh, this is the nugget right here. Write this down. And Aaron, send this to me later. They focus on the information, not the transformation. Okay. They focus on the information, not the transformation. What do I mean by that? So my philosophy is marketing is movement. By the way, that wasn't in my notes. So I'm telling you, you better pay attention. Okay. Better pay attention. Can you tell that we've helped hundreds of clients grow in their marketing over the last 10 years? I'm just so excited to be here. So marketing is movement, not manipulation. If you feel like you're selling people, by the way, that's my marketing tattoo, is marketing is movement, not manipulation. You guys are really great at operations, right? You're probably really good at making sure that you can help make sure that things are fulfilled the right way. If you are good at serving people, you are good at marketing to people. Hands down, every single time. Let me show you what that looks like. Can you help the old lady get to the register at Walmart? Absolutely. Can you tell somebody directions of how to get from point A to point B? Yes, without a doubt. Nothing is different when it comes to marketing. You are helping someone go from their before state to their after state. But this is the problem. If you don't start with your audience and you don't really understand what you're doing, you're not reading their mail. What do I mean by that? It means that you're not speaking to them in the way that they need to be spoken to, because you're just talking off in fantasy land, or your ideas, or more likely your founder's ideas, are so big and great that they forgot who they were talking to. So here's a funny story. So one of our clients who's very successful, runs an online business, and we've been marketing with her for 2 years. She started talking about her customer avatar, and she was going on and on and on and on about this person's on Instagram and they do this and they do that. And I was like, they're not there. They are not on Instagram. So she's in coaching network, and she does a lot with like online entrepreneurs in that space. And I was like, they're on LinkedIn, 100%, because they are executive level, CEO style, or in a leadership capacity. That's where they are. And so you can try to, we can laugh at her situation and say, aha, what an idiot. She's over there on Instagram. And then we're all running ads on Facebook to the wrong people. So if you don't start with the right people, you're wasting your money. You're burning cash, right? So the second thing is, you are not the avatar. Let me just be very clear. She made the mistake of focusing so much on what she thought she was, or who she is now, that she forgot about where she was then. Okay. So just because you want to be an Instagram influencer like Brock Johnson, which I'm sure everybody follows. And by the way, I was telling people about him when he was like 30,000 people. And now he's like skied up way high. If you want to be an Instagram influencer, by the way, you can still follow him. He's really good. But there's some secrets behind the madness. Don't get hooked up in the tactics. So back to this. You're not the avatar. So the reason why people get stuck up on that is because they're trying to talk to their old self instead of trying to focus on the customer and the transformation. You got to separate it. Founders have to separate it. Thankfully, we serve the entrepreneurs and online creator space for the majority. We work with some e-commerce people too. If you have a digital business online and you're trying to reach people, we work with you, right? So thankfully, I know that space pretty well enough to know that like, I'm not that person I'm trying to reach. It's pretty clear. But in a lot of places, the founder syndrome, I'm trying to reach myself, it can be very costly. And I'm about to explain why in just a second. But listen, here's the thing. If you don't start with your customer, and I did write this down in my notes because it's that important. We put all that time and we put all that energy, all your creativity, your excellence, and your marketing operations. But it would be like a person going and fishing in a fountain instead of fishing in the right pond. Okay. You can get pennies in the fountains, but if you're going and looking for big fish, you got to be where the big fish are. Plain and simple. But you can't do it if you don't start with the audience first. Okay. I know you weren't asking for this stuff, but that's why I'm firing at you as fast as I can, because I know I want to answer your questions. Okay. The second thing is this is a big one. This is a really big one. You need a specific avatar for every single core product that you have, period. At least one. Because here's the thing. If you promise transformation, then your customer is going to be changing through the process. John Acuff, if you teach someone how to build their awesome life, you have a new customer avatar because they have a new after, which means that they have a new before, which is the reason why most people never elevate their value ladder of trying to get people deeper and deeper, is because they forget that the very people and the customers that they have that they could keep elevating higher and higher, they don't serve them anymore because those people are looking for someone to elevate them even higher. Now, I would be happy to tell your founder that they need to raise their level. That's a discussion that I'm not going to make you guys have. In fact, you guys can just quote me right now. There's a dude right here who's going to tell you that you're not as high as you possibly could be. And it's because you need to grow personally, period. Their capacity for growth is going to limit the capacity for the organization every single time. So I'm not telling you that you should be discouraged by your job. I'm not telling you that you should be like trying to blame it on your founders or nothing like that. But what I am saying is that let's own it ourselves first. Let's own it and say, we're going to focus on the customer. Every single CEO and founder wants this from someone. They want to know why you're doing it, and they're going to know how it's going to help that person. If you go back to them and you explain to them, this is the person we are exactly reaching right now. And this is the reason why we have to help them in this way, help them get from point A to point B. You help them understand that, and they will most of the time say, you're absolutely right. So that's the quickest way. I'm a CEO. If anybody on my team did that for me, I'd be like, how much money you want, right? So you're welcome. Okay. Here's the thing. As the customers change, this is in my notes, so it's important. As your customers change, your language should change. Plain and simple. If you're speaking to their before state and they're in an after state, you've lost them. You can't elevate them to the next thing. You can't drive them deeper into the funnel. Just not going to happen. They're going to go look for someone else, and you just completely lost the opportunity and the profit of all that hard work in your early low entry offers to be able to escalate them into the higher things. So it's really important that you focus on that person, right? Can we agree on that? Everybody on me? Are you with it? Okay. I see the chat up there. I'm just not going to look at it yet. We'll get to it. All right. So
we're monitoring the chat. We're
okay,
all just
cool.
like, you're blowing us up. So don't worry. We're all just commenting on you blowing us up.
Okay. Love it, man. Save that chat. I'll take it for later and turn it into automated marketing content. By the way, if you're not using otter.io to document your founders or like stuff like this, use it on your sales calls. Use it on everything. Document what people are saying and then use that back to help them with their before state. If you're not recording your sales calls before they actually do your product on a one-on-one and transcribing that and going back and mining that information for your sales copy, what are you doing with your life? Like that right there that's like a $10 million tip. I promise you, record those sales calls, tell them you'll send it to them later. But what you're really trying to do, more than quality control, is you're trying to use those words that they say so that you could go back to them in the proposals, or you can go back to your landing pages and optimize. Like if, oh my gosh, like it really creates itself, you guys. Like it's not rocket science. But the thing is, we just get so caught up into shiny object syndrome and random acts of marketing because we think those things are going to work instead of leaning into what we already know works. All right, I'm going to start preaching in a minute. I'm sorry. Okay. Point number 2. You're probably measuring the wrong things. Vanity metrics, anybody? How many followers do you have on Instagram? How many clicks are you getting? What is your return on your ad spend? Some of these things are actually important, but they might not be as important as you think. All right, I'm going to ask someone to be brave and either raise your hands or feel free to unmute yourself. How many of you know what your cost per lead is for your core offer? I'm seeing some head shaking. How many of you know how much your cost per customer is? Which is, by the way, the leads are how much money you're spending to get a lead, and then how much you spend, how many leads you have, whether they're organic or paid. You divide that by how many people you have in your customer, and whatever your spend is for operational costs, because marketing's not free. And then also your paid costs, that is how much your actual customer costs. So like, let's just do it simple math. If you are getting $1 per lead, which by the way is a complete fantasy right now, but I digress. You're getting $1 per lead and it takes 10 leads per customer, then your cost per customer is $10. Everybody tracking with me? So Facebook's not going to tell you that number. Facebook's not going to be like, oh, X amount of dollars per customer. No, they can give you return on your ad spend, also known as ROAS. They can tell you what your cost per click is. They can tell you how many people have clicked it. You can retarget them. You can do all these things. But if you don't have these other actual important metrics, then you don't know how much you're paying for your customers. Plain and simple. So let's go to the next part. This is a quote from my new buddy, Ryan Dice, over here at digitalmarketer.com. Like I said, we just became a certified partner this year, and it has been game changing for us and also for our clients. So if you're in that place and you're like, we're ready to scale, we're ready to throw rocket fuel and stuff, that is exactly where we have been able to just be like, it's awesome. I call it cheat codes. It's cheat codes. This is what he said. I had been conditioned for so long. By the way, what a way to ruin a quote, like set it up and then explain it. I've been so conditioned so long that my value as a marketer was in how cheap I could get my costs down. Now I'm going to read you a quote. The one who can pay the most wins the most. Now this dude is hanging out with Shark Tank, right? I'm going to be thankfully going out to San Diego. Anybody in San Diego, hit me up in September to hang out at their traffic and conversion summit. And they've got Gary V and all these other really awesome people. Like Ryan Dice is the deal, right? Pretty awesome. And he said, it's not about how cheap you can get the leads. Whoever pays the most wins the most. So if you can optimize your system, if you know what your customer is worth over the long haul, if you understand what that metric is and how much it's going to cost to get them, let's just use simple math. If it costs you $10,000, or sorry, I mean, some people, $10,000 is worth it. If you've got $1 million client, who cares, right? But let's just scale it down a minute because some of y'all might be having a heart attack. So like, if it costs you $10 and the customer's lifetime value is 100, that's worth it every single time. If it costs you $10 for a customer and it's $1,000, oh, wow. Absolutely. I mean, usually 10 to 20% of the lifetime value in the marketing that you have for that product or that person and your customer that you're trying to have is absolutely nothing. You put money in, you get money out. It's very simple. That is one of the biggest reasons why marketing doesn't grow. It's because you don't know who your customer is and you don't know the metrics of how to measure that success. But let me tell you something. It's really not your fault, if I'm being honest. Nobody wakes up one day and has a handbook for how to do this job. And founders, talking to myself, have this complex with chasing things. And let me explain the reason why. There's 3 stages of growth. Probably should have made a slide for that. I'll optimize it later. There's 3 stages of growth. The growth. The first one is discovery. The second one is building. So you're building out those systems. So discovery, you're learning who you are, the value you have, and who you're serving. The second area of growth is building, where you have in like, oh, I actually have a product and I'm growing. Like most of you are way past those early points, but maybe you're kind of in between, who knows? And then the last phase is scaling. Most people never make it to scaling because the founder in their mind is stuck in discovery. Because in discovery, it's all about you and what you can do. In scaling, it's about how can I get out of this? The reason why most businesses and agencies and things like that never scale and never get to a value that you can sell later is because the whole entire system is dependent on the availability of the CEO. That is a hard pill for me to swallow. And to be honest with you, I'm not there yet. But I see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm just telling you, if you got that CEO who's still like breathing down your throat and they have ideas, it's not because they don't trust you. It's because they're naturally inclined to want to discover. Right? It's totally like Aaron is weird because he's a CEO, but he's a scaler, right? He creates the operational systems so that you can take that hardness off of the leader so that the system is running itself. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the system at the very end in the last 10. But the truth is, if you don't have a marketing system, a marketing operating system, then you're doing the exact same thing of not having operational systems. It's the exact same thing. So like Aaron and I are like yin and yang on this one. Like he says he's in marketing ops and I'm like, I don't even want to touch operations. I'd rather focus on growth strategies and being able to help you guys elevate what you're doing with your brand and your awareness and all of those different pieces. So let me say one more thing and then we'll open up for questions. So if you don't have, so there's 8 core disciplines of digital marketing and specifically, and we're talking about one of them today specifically, which is awareness. That's typically where ads, I've said typically like 30 times the last 2 minutes. So I'll try to remove that from my vocabulary.
You say it good. You say it good. You sound good.
It's okay, man. Hey, listen, I don't go back and watch replays. I'm just like, move ahead. Somebody tell me what I said. I'll figure it out later. So if you don't have your system right in steps 2 through 8, you're only going to waste money, time, and energy. You're going to frustrate your customers and you're going to be frustrated yourself. And so the channels, basically it goes like this. You've got awareness, you've got engagement, you have subscription, you have conversion, you have excitement, you have ascension, and then you have the last 2, which is basically testimonials. And then you have people that become promoters, and then it starts back over because when they promote, it creates more awareness. So for those of you who are really referral based, I probably could accelerate your growth with some of these systems by 2 or 3 times faster by just making sure that the system is getting people to the end quicker, right? So that's the problem with most people, is that they wait to develop a relationship with someone over 12 to 18 months. What if you could just accelerate that process of getting someone from start to finish a little bit quicker, and then you're getting more referrals? It sounds so simple and basic, but when you're in the weeds and you don't have it documented and you got someone over here chasing the next squirrel in the room, like it's really easy for you not to get traction.